am the Fed.
I am the Fed now. I am the reset. I am the Fed.
I am the central bank. Right. Bring your mic on over, Max,
Yeah,
because
bring my
we
mic
are
on. Here we go.
live.
Let's
We
do
are
it.
rolling, and we are rolling. Keep those Bitcoins rolling.
Keep those smashes rolling. Swan, you must smash on Swan to get your daily Bitcoin. Stacking is the way you keep the man away.
Hey, okay. Don't blow the eardrums of the people, because we need the people, because we are going to levitate the Fed later, because we're in a financial war, we're in an economic war, we're in a monetary war.
Yep.
And the point is that, you remember in 1967 when that march on the Pentagon happened in I think it was October of 1967, and Abbie Hoffman said that he would attempt to use psychic energy to levitate the Pentagon until it would turn orange and begin to vibrate, at which time the war in Vietnam would end. So we obviously have turned orange. We're vibrating.
Whoa.
But if we all vibrate together, because think of that action. Think
Yeah.
of the action of smash buying. Like when I smash buy, I go like this. I don't know what you do, Max,
Yeah.
but when I go to swanbitcoin.com/orange pill, I go.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like to sneak up on it.
Wait, how do you do it?
I put my device right on the table.
Max calls.
It's my device.
He calls his iPhone a device.
It is. It's a device. I put my device on the table, right? And then, like I sneak up on it. Like clandestine. Like, oh, I'm going to come up there and step. Ah! And I hit the smash button.
Right.
Well, you know what I'm saying?
I'm also going to toast to the people, because we have 20,000 people in our Telegram group. 20,000 orange pilled people in the Orange Pill Pod Telegram group. So I'm celebrating that with some Prosecco. And don't tell Jen. So don't go tattle on me, because Jen was like all prepared that I was going to have this Cuban drink and it was going to have champagne in it. I got the champagne because, in the Bible Belt, it's easy to get the champagne. You just go to the supermarket, you get the champagne.
Goodbye.
Try to get all those bitters and the rum and all that kind of stuff that I'm supposed to put in here. No. Like, you have to go to the state-owned ABC liquor store and all of that stuff. So
you know what you get? You got Slim Jim. Slim Jim in a can. It's made with vodka, rum, and some Slim Jim all grinded up. That's what you got to get. Get on the road with some Slim Jim in a can. 99% alcohol. That's the drink that keeps truckers going. Yeah.
You see, I'm wearing the closest thing I could find to a hippie style shirt. This was the only thing I could find. I do have more hippie style stuff, but I just, I only spent about 30 seconds looking for something to be fair. But
I'm wearing my Bitcoin swimwear. You see, look, I'm wearing my Bitcoin swimwear. I doubt it, but
oh my god!
I'm
Oh my
wearing
god!
Bitcoin
Oh my
swimwear.
god!
See? In case you got a good look at it. Look at that.
Oh my god!
I'm ready for the summer. I'm ready. I'm going to take my pants off completely and just hang out by the pool in my Bitcoin swimwear. I got to compete with Isaiah Jackson. He's come out with his own line of clothes now.
No way.
No keys, no cheese. Yeah, no keys, no cheese. So I've got to, keep it going with my Bitcoin swimwear, orange pill swimwear. It's an improvement on the nut hugger from what you've seen in previous years, because it's cut lower down. It's got that square cut. It's much more flattering. That's my advertisement.
Let me see what people think. Hey, oh yeah, the reception looks okay.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering, if it was focused enough and stuff like that.
I put a hanger in the antenna, so the reception's much better now.
No, I was thinking of getting the what's that, Starlink, but it's only 150 megabytes, whereas we get 400 megabytes. So
oh yeah,
I think ours might be better. Yeah. So levitating the Fed, we're gonna do that once we have 1,000 people online. We're gonna all go smash buy some Bitcoin, because not only will we levitate the Fed and turn it orange, but we're going to front run all these other corporations. I see Twitter just announced that they're looking to buy Bitcoin and also pay their employees in Bitcoin. Of course, with Twitter, Jack has a bit more of a problem than with Square because of Paul Singer on his board, right? And Paul Singer's been trying to oust Jack for quite a while. So what do you think of that?
Well, I mean, the boardroom is something to be contended with. So, as you point out, you've got with Twitter a board that is trying to at one point oust Jack from the board, from the CEO spot completely.
Yeah.
Over at Square, these problems are not really that much of an issue. Now, over at Elon Musk's shop, Tesla, he's got one of his board members has made a formal complaint that he's trying to cap the amount of Bitcoin that Elon can put on Tesla's balance sheet. So this is the problem with these boards over at MicroStrategy, because you've got Michael Saylor, who let's call it what it is. He's got pretty much board control.
Yeah.
And he's got freedom to do stuff that he wants to do without getting much flack from his board. And he was able to do that execution on his Bitcoin position. And when people say, well, who else is going to be buying Bitcoin in the corporate space? They mention Apple, for example. But I think the board at Apple is going to be really hard to navigate. You've got, I don't think Warren Buffett's on the board, but he's the biggest shareholder. He's already come out and hated on Bitcoin. This is why I think Larry Ellison over at Oracle, I mentioned earlier in the week, this is what I'm hearing. He's a maverick. He's got really dominance over his board. They've got $38 billion in cash. He could just come out and say, look, we're going to put $1 or $2 billion into Bitcoin. He's a huge fan of Elon. He's got a big investment in Tesla. He bought into Tesla when it was, I think, between $200 and $300 a share. He put $1 billion into it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Right. So he's up billions of dollars on his Tesla position. He's very anti kind of, I don't know if you could say he's anti-establishment, but he's similar to Elon. Elon thumbs his nose at the SEC and he thumbs his nose at convention. And he goes on Joe Rogan and smokes dope. And, Larry Ellison has been that way for 30 years, really. He's been a maverick. And I think this appeals to those senses. So it kind of makes sense to me that he would be the next publicly listed, I think they're in the Fortune 500, Oracle, and come out with a Tesla buy. The mainstream media is definitely melting down. The CNBC sorts and the pencil neck guy on CNBC is having conniptions on a daily basis. He can't wrap his mind around Bitcoin. He's still trying to figure it out. You've got over at Bloomberg, of course, Joe Wiesenthal we told him to buy it under $100 8 or 9 years ago when he was just doing independent media. Same with Josh Brown. We got into Bitcoin and we were saying, you guys, you got to take a look at this. They both laughed at the idea. Wiesenthal never really took the time to understand it, and he's still getting mileage out of being a troll. But eventually the pins all fall.
Smash that like while I explain to you. Somebody's asking if we're poolside.
Yeah, we're definitely poolside.
Max has his in our mind, because that's all that matters, right? All value derives from human consciousness, but our whole reality derives from human consciousness. And our consciousness has decided that sick of winter. Okay, it's over. Even though the reality-based people say, oh, Stacy, don't start wearing summer clothes yet because it's going to snow this coming weekend, and therefore you should be deplatformed if you're wearing a summer top. But actually, the summer top was just hanging there for me to take and look like a hippie to levitate the Fed, because we're going to levitate the Fed once 1,000 people are online, because we're going to go smash buy some Bitcoin at the same time, smash those sats at the same time, and hopefully we'll have enough people smash buying at the same time that the Fed will turn orange, vibrate, and start to levitate. And
it shouldn't be too tough, because the Fed is essentially a bouncy castle.
Yeah,
it's just a big blow up doll at the Fed. And they've never audited the Fed, as we know. They have nothing there. It's a big bouncy castle. It just floats around. And it's kind of held down to the ground by a piece of string. All we need to do is use our psychic energy to sever that little piece of string that holds the Fed from blowing away, and it'll just blow away. There's no bricks. There's no mortar. There's no substance. It's just a chimera of our collective delusions that have been propagated by the meme masters over there at the lamestream media, and it doesn't really exist.
Right. I like Max's shorts.
Yeah, it's a
People want
bathing
to know.
suit. It's a bathing suit.
It's a bathing suit.
Yeah, it's a bathing suit. I don't know if you got a good look at it.
Oh, honey, stop showing your
What? My legs.
your legs. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, your legs.
That's
But
right.
you can show your butt. Hey, you know, I noticed
Yeah.
like if I blow dry and curl my hair, like it hides the fact that this is how I cut it over the past year. Like I just hold it up to the mirror like this with some scissors and go like this.
Yeah.
And then I kind of try to feel around my hair and figure out which is the longest bit. And I'll go, oh, this one's long. And I just cut it there. So after about 11 months, I noticed if I look closely, if it's just like flat or something, you can really see that it's all a whole bunch of different lengths.
Yeah.
But if you style it, you can't see it as much. So you can't notice all the different lengths and stuff like that. So
That's called a feathered cut. I mean, if you go into the salon and say like a feathered cut, this is exactly what they do, and they'll charge you $500,000 for it. Here, you do it in the mirror with scissors out of the drawer, and you can get it done in 5 minutes. I spent less than 30 seconds on my haircut. I just take the buzz cutter and go, and then you get the vacuum, and that's it. It takes less than 2 minutes to cut and clean the entire operation.
I ordered some special hair salon scissors, so they do work really well. But it is mostly feather because I do that whole like I just pull it like I pull the scissors like this.
All right.
And it
so
cuts.
instead of having some chick blab in your ear about nonsensical soap opera plots, you can just do it by yourself in 30 seconds and get it done for 99% less. Am I right?
Max is right. So, okay, we're about 60% of the way there towards levitating the Fed. We're going to start doing that. My wife does my hair. Max to the moon. Me wants shorts. Max, LOL. Yes, sir. LOL. Haircuts are a scam.
That's right.
It's like
Haircuts are
hi.
a scam.
It's like hi. Hi is a scam. Haircuts are a scam. So, the title of the show is Microdosing Hash Wars because I noticed, there was a big headline from, that account documenting BTC. And they've kind of launched onto the scene and they have all these historic Bitcoin stuff that they post. But they post a lot of interesting data. And today they posted that an unnamed Bitcoin mining center in Russia just became the largest in the country overnight with 20,000 new machines.
Yep, this is a huge story.
That's the hash war. That's why we want to levitate the Fed. So we're trying to get them to enter this hash war. See, that's the thing is Abby Hoffman wanted to end war because they were in this physical war, this brutal war of killing people, tens of thousands of Americans, hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese and Cambodians. So we are trying to prevent those kind of hot wars with this hash war.
Right. And of course, he wrote the famous book, Steal This Book. And as you point out, they were trying to end a war. We're trying to start a war. There's a big difference. We're trying to start a hash war. We're trying to get America into the hash war because it's like that Sputnik moment. Remember, the Soviets put up the Sputnik. It was orbiting beep, 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 beep.
1957.
Yep. And alarm bells went off in the Pentagon and they were like, oh my God, the Soviets are beating us in outer space. We need to launch our... And then Kennedy had a very misfortunate end. Nixon took over and
first it was LBJ,
and then they landed a man on the moon in 1969. That was all part of the space race. And of course, that launched America into, you talk about Oracle and Google and Silicon Valley was really buttressed and bolstered by this NASA, which is a government agency, by sending two guys to the moon, the surface of the moon. So we want to actually start a hash war to get America relevant because right now the news is Russia's buying huge amounts of mining equipment. They don't say outright it's the state. They just say it's very cloak and dagger. They say, oh, suddenly there's this huge mining operation going in Russia. We already know there's this huge mining operation going in Iran. There's miners going on in Kazakhstan, all these peripheral countries. Kazakhstan. They're getting into the mining. They're hoarding Bitcoin. They've got a percentage of the hash rate. As Michael Saylor says, every single monetary event in the future will be connected to the Bitcoin chain. Therefore, to be left out would be to be left out of the 21st century. So America's got to get into the hash war into the hash race. America, when are you going to wake up?
That's right. And it's interesting that Russia, Iran, Venezuela, obviously they have problems with sanctions on the US dollar settlement layer, but also they're all like oil nations, right? So you're converting, before they had to convert to hard money, which was US dollars, but now there's an even harder money, which is Bitcoin. Russia was the first to start doing, they over the last few years, they were basically converting all their US dollar income from oil into gold at a really great ratio. That ratio is no longer so favorable. But Bitcoin mining, you have plenty of cheap energy. You might as well use it on building the hardest money of all. I saw people suggest that it was probably a company called BitRiver that has these 20,000 ASICs that they just had delivered out in Siberia. Of course, so they have free, almost unlimited hydroelectric power.
And it's very cold, which
And
is
it's very
great
cold.
for Bitcoin mining.
Very cold for most of the year. So your cost for cooling down, because a lot of the ones in Texas, of course, have to spend quite a bit of money cooling down their ASICs.
Now, this is interesting in that Nick Carter was asking this question on Twitter: what country is going to really get into the hash wars in a big way and start putting Bitcoin on their foreign reserve strategic reserves? And funny thing is that one of the founders of that erstwhile portal that went belly up once Facebook came around, that's famous.
MySpace?
Yeah, MySpace. One of the founders of MySpace, he came out on Twitter and said he thinks it's going to be Iceland, right? Because they've got geothermal energy.
Yeah.
It's very cold, which is good, et cetera, et cetera. And people were saying it's very ironic that this guy who got blown out by MySpace. People say that Bitcoin could be the MySpace of crypto, and that's been now debunked and shown to be, as Michael Saylor's already gone through that point by point. But it's ironic that the original MySpace guy is in there suggesting it could be Iceland enters into the hash war, and which is a fair assessment. They also, Iceland uniquely was the only country in 2008 that shut down the corrupt banks and put bankers in jail and said, we're going to take the hit to our economy and restart, because that's the right thing to do. That's the moral thing to do. It's the ethical thing to do. In the US and in Europe, we said, no, we're going to bail out the bankers. And as a result, became a toxic sludge heap of immoral bastards who just like to print money at each other.
Yeah, though they're quite independent, right? They're in this own unique sort of position out there in the North Atlantic, but they still are part of the whole EU system and stuff like that. So I think it will come from these countries on the periphery. That's where it always happens, outside the empire. So at the periphery of the empire. And if you're, the US is the empire and our US dollar is the imperial currency, and you've got to take this, and Caesar gets to tax everybody. But it's the people that are further out around the edge of the empire that are overlooked, and the empire doesn't have that much attention, being paid to these nations. So I think that's kind of where the hash war makes sense, but especially those because Bitcoin uniquely is such an amazing, it is a currency unit backed by energy. So there's a direct relationship there, so it makes sense that if you're going to enter this race, you look at your advantages and or disadvantages of various nations around the world. And if you're an oil-rich nation, like Nigeria should be entering this. Nigeria, of all, it's so insane that they're just flaring all their natural gas, just trying to ban their citizens from participating in, which is so natural to them, that they're very entrepreneurial. They import, export all sorts of used goods from Asia. So why you would try to ban them from Bitcoin is just absurd. Obviously, it's not going to work. But nevertheless, you should be encouraging it. You should be joining the hash wars. As Max said, Orange Pill Podcast is trying to start a war here.
That's right. We're trying to start a war. We're troublemakers, and we're war pushers. It's a war for peace, right? Because Bitcoin is the ultimate peace settlement between everybody and everybody. When you can only exchange peacefully without coercion and without threat of violence, with unconfiscatable, hardest money ever to exist, what is it? A volcano of love. It's an eruption of goodness. It's really an orgy of phantasmagorical qualities that raptures this embrace of the Bitcoin protocol in what I would call the global twister. The global twister sans olive oil is the result of the going through the looking glass and coming out the other side of the orange pill.
I think, what was that saying? Like, we need to destroy the village to save the village, and we need to destroy the global monetary system to save the global monetary system is essentially what we need to do.
Yeah, exactly right. There needs to be a Bitcoin explosion to destroy all the central banks. So this is why I guess we're levitating the Federal Reserve Bank. If we can levitate it today, even a few inches off the ground, then, in the future, what we'll need to do is just levitate it into outer space and send it off to some Mars or some other planet or outside of the galaxy.
Into the sun.
Into the sun, exactly. Send the Fed directly into the sun.
It's like that there was a strange film that only Max and I seem to like that they were like went into the sun. I forget the name of the actor.
Yeah, they were flying into the sun. It was the director. So I think it wasn't Danny Boyle, I think, directed it.
Oh, really? It was really good.
And it was, I forget the title, but it was just flying into the sun. And halfway through the film, you're like, this film is really dumb. But by the end of the film, you're like, my God, my life has totally changed.
Well, it was like pre-Bitcoin, and it was so Bitcoin because these people were flying into the sun to save the Earth. Remember, they were saving humanity. But Bitcoin is a bet on human ingenuity that we don't have to fly into the sun to save ourselves. We just need to levitate the Fed. So smash that like button, because once it gets to 500, we have 775 watching. We're gonna smash by together and hopefully levitate the Fed. It'll turn orange. It'll vibrate.
Yeah.
How do you smash by? I smash by like this.
I sneak up on. I do the stealth smash. I sneak up on my device because, it's always spying. The device is always listening. It's always recording. So I got to sneak up on my device when it's not looking. Then I smash by, and then I sink back into the shadows with it outside of the reach of the device.
Oh, I thought of a good idea, because of levitating the Fed. And when they did the march on the Pentagon and Abby Hoffman tried to levitate the Pentagon, he didn't succeed. It didn't turn orange and vibrate, and they didn't end the war. But there was that famous photo, the most famous moment probably of all those protests against the Vietnam War, other than the Kent State massacre. It was that moment where the protester woman put the flower in the paratrooper's gun. That was from this attempt to levitate the Pentagon.
Yeah, I think they call themselves yippies. At that, Abby Hoffman was a yippie.
Abby Hoffman's no Max Kaiser. Like, he wasn't he was just he was signaling to people. He was a yippie. He became a yuppie. But that's what I was thinking. It's like these money guns. Yeah. You could put like a Trezor, like some sort of, some sort of meme where you're putting the flower, not a flower, because a flower, you think about it, that's why they never achieved peace, because the flower is as floppy and fluffy as the fiat dollar, right? That came soon after 1967. It's just as fragile, right? It just disintegrates.
Right.
You've plucked it, killed it. As soon as you pluck the flower,
when you say
it's
pluck
dead.
The flower, I think of Plucky, of course.
Yeah. Plucky
is right here.
Plucky has to hold the money printing gun.
Oh, right.
And then he becomes a meme because you could put the Bitcoin in the money printer.
He could grab it with his claw.
Okay.
All right, Stacy.
Put a Bitcoin in there.
Baby, do it. Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Put a Bitcoin. Put a Bitcoin.
Ah! Something's vibrating, but it's not the Pentagon.
Right. No, we're not trying to vibrate the Pentagon. The Pentagon is, the Pentagon has, the way to get to them is like the art of war. You can't get to the Pentagon directly in a fiat world because we're in the fiat dark ages and the Pentagon runs on free money and all of the ability to just keep on printing money.
Right.
Whereas Bitcoin is peace.
That's right.
Delivered with hard money rather than a dead flower, because the flower is already dead. It looks vibrant, but you've killed it by picking it. By holding Bitcoin, it's alive. Like it's something that's going to take.
It's definitely alive.
Do I sound crazy?
No, of course not. You sound absolutely hyper Bitcoinized. You sound like you've taken a few orange pills. And here we have a few more orange pills right here. Here's some orange pills right there. Take one. This is bona fide orange pill from the Orange Pill podcast.
That's our supply.
Oh, that's good. Oh boy, I can see clear.
Right. I'm waiting for 500 likes or 1,000 viewing. We're at 877. Yes, Stacy Max, talk about Africa. We have somebody in the Orange Pill podcast group that's from Ethiopia, and he wants us to talk about Ethiopia, which I don't know much about in terms of he said he did say that they're about to go to war apparently because because Ethiopia